Governor of the U.S. state of Georgia signed into law legislation that would require some people who are trying to access food stamps programs or welfare programs in general to undergo drug testing. As you could imagine, this is controversial. Joining me now, Navy vet, Republican, Bob Parks. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Jerry. How are you?
I'm well. Hope you are well. And how are you reacting to what the Georgia governor did?
Well, we have a contagion running amok in this country called ACLU, or the ACLU, or the American Civil Liberties Union. These people are contesting this new law because they think it disproportionately will affect poor people, AKA minorities, AKA black people, and it's something that is obviously going to be an inconvenience to them. We have stores that you can go into where people can present what are called EBT cards, electronic bank transfer cards, and they were originally intended to give people a way of buying necessities, milk, eggs, cheese, bread, things that you need for your daily subsistence. But you can go to a myriad of stores in the country that take EBT cards. Now, to give you one example of how the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, has done more damage in some cases than good, during the Reagan administration, I'm not talking about his presidential, I'm talking about when he was the governor of California, the ACLU sued the state of California and Ronald Reagan because they were incarcerating people against their will in a mental institution. So what happened was, the state of California just said, screw it, and they just released all of these people who could not take care of themselves onto the streets of California. And, of course, that since that became case law, it happened all over the country. You want to know why we have, in part, a homeless problem in this country? It's not only just because of people who can't afford to live. It's because there are people who can't take care of themselves but cannot be incarcerated against their will, thanks to the ACLU.
Well, in fact, what it sounds like they have done, as I'm listening to you describe what you just did, is that you have groups of people who will defend someone's rights against the best interests of that very person.
Sure, and it's not just a question of giving people access to, with taxpayer money, to just go and buy whatever they want. There has to have been an element of fraud. There has to have been a reason why this bill got to Governor Neal's desk in the first place. And it probably had to do something with people spending money on things like more exotic foods. Bill O'Reilly on the O'Reilly Factor here on Fox News Channel did a short piece on this guy in California who was buying lobster with his welfare money. Lobster. I mean, this is something that some of us people who have jobs can't afford regularly. He was just buying it because he felt like it. And so there was a fraud element to this and a criminality element to it. And, of course, you don't want people buying drugs for it, but there are some cases where people were taking food stamps, trading them in for cash to buy things other than what they were supposed to.
Well, and if the adult, in fact, in the equation has a drug and or alcohol problem, then they spend the money irresponsibly, don't look after children. I think there's an interesting element of this, Bob, where an adult who is refused welfare because of a drug and alcohol problem has a problem themselves. The child, however, can have another adult look after their welfare needs.
Of course. The problem, again, comes back to these people who have good intentions. They always try to say they have good intentions, but the results of their interference usually causes more damage. Yes, when the quote-unquote adults are not buying the food that they're supposed to be buying with these welfare card checks or whatever, and their children suffer, and they usually get more money the more children they have. So if they neglect the children, that becomes another burden on the state. And again, there has to have been a reason why the state of Georgia decided that this was necessary. But of course, the knee-jerk from the left, from the ACLU, is, oh, you are discriminating. You are, in essence, being racist, because a lot of times when they talk about welfare in this country, they don't always point at the majority of people. They always try to make this an issue where somebody is picking on a poor, disadvantaged minority. and that's where you can tug on the heartstrings. And the ACLU has it wrong again.
I appreciate it very much. Always good to have you.
Thank you, Terry.